Hey everyone, I'm about to show you how to make 5 edible school supplies. First one I'm going to show you is this calculator, which is totally made of starbursts. Yum yum yum. So I use the original starbursts, which are in the packages, as well as the minis. You're going to need a mold for your calculator. So I have that Tupperware container. I decided to make my calculator pink, which involved me using 2 bags of the original starburst. So make sure that you guys have enough starburst depending on what color you'd like to do. And I also have these mini starbursts for my buttons of the calculator because they're just so perfect in size. However, I needed some of the pink mini starbursts to ensure that I had enough for my calculator. I'm going to microwave that for maybe 30 seconds, but before I do that, you're going to grease up your mold as the candy will stick. So this is a very important step, you guys. Make sure that you spray it. I'm just using some pan here, but you can use coconut oil or whatever. Here's my stuff microwave. That took maybe 30 seconds. Make sure you guys keep an eye on it and don't do it unless you have parental supervision if you require it. This stuff is so good. Check this out. It's sticky, it's gooey, it's of course starburst, which you can't get any more delicious than that. So I'm just gonna mix it up because the mini starbursts actually melt at a different consistency than the original. If you just used all the same, I'm sure it wouldn't take that long to stir up. And you're just gonna plop it in your mold. Now this stuff is hot, you guys, so you wanna make sure that you use a tool or a device before you start smushing it with your fingers so that you don't burn them. Once you're happy with the base of your calculator, you're gonna put it in the fridge just to cool off, and it should pop out pretty easily after that. Okay, so here we have the base of our calculator. Pretty cool. Now I think I put that in the fridge for maybe a half an hour or so it doesn't take too long. I'm gonna tilt up my calculator a bit so we can see the screen. And if you ever see these sort of kind of like old school calculators, you probably still can buy them, but I mean, obviously you don't see calculators around too much. You see a lot of cell phones, but if you guys don't know what I mean, you can check it out on the internet, of course. I'm just gonna use some starburst here to support the tilt that I've implemented into my calculator, as this starburst stuff is pretty heavy, so it tends to flop back down. I put it in the fridge again with my tilt, and it's looking pretty good, you guys. I'm happy with it so far. So there's the calculator that I was talking to you about. So I'm going to try to mimic these buttons, and I'm going to start off with the numbers. So I'm going to use the yellow ones, and I'm going to use some icing as glue, and you just put a little blob on one of these cute little mini starbursts, which are so perfect for numbers, and you just want to make sure that you push a little bit to get that icing nice and stuck, and then you just carry on through until all the buttons are done. Okay, looking good so far. So for the plus sign, I don't know if you guys recall the picture that I showed you, but the addition button, has a big button. So it's like double the size of these mini starbursts. So I'm going to use a big starburst, and I'm going to try to mold it into this nice long triangle, and that will be my addition button. Okay, I'm happy with what I've done here so far, so I'm just going to add the last row of buttons at the top here, which include the on and off. So I'm going to use red buttons for that, as those are very important. And then I'm just going to add 3 more orange buttons to separate them. I'm going to take one original starburst, and I'm going to roll it out as thin as I can, and this is going to turn into the screen for the calculator. Okay, I'm pretty happy with how it's looking so far, so I'm going to grab my icing and I'm going to glue this yellow starburst screen on there. So last step, you guys, I'm going to use my edible markers that I found at Michael's, which have come in very handy for a lot of different projects, so I highly recommend them. And I'm just going to add some numbers here on the screen, and then I'm going to fill in whatever the buttons have on the original picture of the calculator. So you guys, I think this calculator is pretty cool because you can just take the buttons off and eat it. And if you want, you can always put more buttons back on and save the base. Or if you want, you can just go ahead and eat the whole thing. And it's all starbursts, so yummy! To make my Apple Watch, I'm going to use a mold. I thought I'd go big, and some Skittles, of course, because we just love Skittles so much. For the band, I'm going to use bubble gum, and the beauty of this is that you can do as many layers as you like. I have my edible candy decorating markers, which I'm also going to use, and my sugar paper here, which, you guys, I think is a pretty cool invention, because you can make some pretty cool things with this. Before I even make the actual watch itself, I'm going to prepare the face of it. So if you want, you can trace this. I end up trimming it just a little bit because I found that I actually couldn't see my Skittles watch. So, you know, honestly, you can do whatever you want here. You can trace it, you can cut it out. And you do have to be careful with the sugar paper because you'll see that mine starts chipping, as I have used this a couple of times, and it dries out as you use it. So that's what I'm going to follow. I'm going to just draw some circles. You can be as detailed as you want here. But knowing that it's probably just going to get eaten right away, or, you know, depending on how good your markers are and stuff like that, I thought I would just draw some circles. You get the idea of the Apple Watch, which is pretty cool. Okay, so once you're done that, I'm also going to prepare my strap. So again, if you want, you guys, you can do 2-3 layers, which obviously will make your strap a little bit more durable, and then you have more bubble gum, so why not? So I am going to do 2 layers of my strap because I love bubble gum so much. You could probably use the whole thing if you really wanted to. It'd be like a super duper strap and a super duper watch. Okay, so preparing the actual watch part, I'm going to grab just kind of like a handful of Skittles here. Sometimes you don't know, and to be honest, you can make it thick or thin. So I think I have about 20 Skittles here. Microwave them for maybe 20 seconds, and I'm just going to mush them up. Skittles do microwave pretty easily, so you don't want to walk away. You want to keep an eye on those because they will melt pretty quickly. Mush it up, and then you're going to put it in your mold. Now I put mine right on the table, and what I didn't show you is that I coated the table a little bit with oil, as obviously this is candy, so it sticks pretty good. So you want to make sure that you guys, or you can do it on parchment paper or wax paper or something that doesn't stick, right? So you can kind of see it sticking there when I move it. So you're going to put it in the fridge once you're happy with it, and then just pop it right out, and that is the main part of your watch. Looks pretty good. Then we're going to grab our decorated sugar paper, use icing as glue, stick it right on there. So at this point I'm realizing I actually prefer to see more of my Skittles watch than the face of it. So what I do, which I don't show in the video here, is I just take a little X-Acto knife and I just trim it a little bit, but you'll see in my final pictures of this is that you can see more of the blue. So moving on to the strap, I'm going to wrap it around twice, and again, you can obviously do as many layers as you would like, and I'm just going to use a little bit of icing here as my glue, and then you just want to smush it together like so, and you could even just wear this as a bracelet if you want. Bubblegum bracelet, hello! Maybe attach some Skittles to that, that'd be pretty cool. So I'm going to use some more icing, lots of icing actually, and just make sure my watch is facing the right way. And that is how I make an edible Apple Watch. To make your edible pencil holder, you're going to grab a mold, and I really like the shape of this one as it's not too big, not too small, and I'm sure lots of people have Play-Doh containers laying around. So you're going to spray it with some oil so our candy doesn't stick. I have a handful of Skittles here. It took about 45 seconds to microwave, but always keep an eye on it, you guys. So they smush pretty easily, they melt pretty easily. It really doesn't take a lot. Once it's at a good consistency to mold, I pour it in my container and I start spreading it around in the shape of the cup, making sure that it's as even as possible all the way around. I found that it was hard to kind of get it all level while it was in the mold, so I'm going to worry about that after. If you can perfect the edges while it's in the mold, then that's good too. So put it in the fridge. When you know it's hard enough, just pop it out. You want to smack it on the bottom a little bit. And there we have the beginning of our cup, which folds really well, some pencils, and looks super cute so far. Okay, so trimming the top to make the cup nice and flat, I used some scissors. Now, I didn't wait until this had thawed out just a little bit, so it actually cracked more than I planned, but I will fix it. But if you do have to do this as well yourselves, just make sure you wait till it's back to room temperature, and then it's easy. So I'm just gonna fix this little chip that came out because it was so hard and cold. Fortunately, icing does the trick, and you can just put it right back in there. And I will be covering this with Skittles, so you can just cover up that little boo-boo with a nice red Skittle, and you won't even notice. So at this point, you're probably thinking, okay, I'm not going to eat a pencil holder that I've put pencils in. That's kind of gross. So this is where it becomes edible, you guys. So you're going to use a little bit of icing, and obviously you can make whatever pattern you want. I decided to just do random, and you're going to stick Skittles on it. And the beauty of this is that you can just take the Skittles off whenever you want, and you can always put more on when you choose to. So even if you don't want to make a cup out of Skittles, you can use whatever sort of cup you'd like, a jar or whatever, and you can stick Skittles to it, and then you can just sort of pluck them off when you feel like eating a little bit of candy. To make your Jolly Rancher ruler, you're going to figure out what size of ruler you want first, and then grab a mold according to that. You're going to coat whatever mold you end up using with oil, and make sure you grab yourself some Jolly Ranchers. So I've decided to use green, and depending on the size of your ruler, make sure that you guys grab however many Jolly Ranchers you need. Melt them, make sure you watch them in the microwave because they melt quite quickly and they get extremely hot. You want to make sure that you stir your Jolly Ranchers to get all the bubbles out prior to pouring it in your mold. I have a little plate under my plastic container here so that it slides down into where I would like it to go. I'm going to grab a plate that's the same size as the mold, and I'm slowly just going to smush it in to the edges. It does sometimes stick to the plate, so you just want to make sure you wait until it's a little bit cooled off, but still, squishy so that you can move it around a little bit. So I've put it in the fridge, and it should pop out pretty carefully. Make sure that you are careful though, as these are Jolly Ranchers and it can crack. So there we have my ruler. I'm going to grab my edible sugar paper again to make the measurements on the ruler. So I'm going to do inches, and this ruler is 5 inches. Because the 5 and the 0 are right at the very edge, I'm only going to mark 1 to 4, but I do know this is 5 inches for all of my measuring purposes. I've marked my inches, I'm going to do ½ inches, and then I'm going to proceed to do some numbers. To make paper clip airheads, you need airheads, and you guys, this is probably the easiest edible school supply DIY that you could possibly do. So you just open up an airhead, and they're super squishy already, and you just roll it in your hands, and then you make it into the shape of a paper clip. I put mine in the fridge afterwards to make them a little bit more durable, and they do slide onto paper. They might not pinch as well as a paper clip, but they do sure look like paper clips, which is the whole idea, right? So I'm going to use some blue ones here, and I'm going to make some ones that are even smaller. And you'll see that I use my green airhead, and I make them even more cute and small.